She rang me up at 3 a.m. My payment failed at the bar. Transfer $2,000 immediately or they'll hold us here. I responded, reach out to your father. After that, I powered down my device and drifted back to rest. The notification from the law enforcement office the following day. I'll dive right in since this tale is wild. Aiming to make it concise, yet there's plenty to dissect. I'm 30, committed to Lauren, 27F, for 8 months at this point. We haven't shared a home because I aimed to confirm our fit prior to committing to rent. Wise choice. In reality, she resides in a flat with 2 housemates roughly 20 minutes away from my spot. Details on Lauren. Hails from wealth but was disowned by her folks 2 years back for motives she's forever evasive on. Asserts they're domineering and fail to grasp her self-reliance. Employed at an advertising agency earning perhaps $45K yet expends as if pulling in $120K. Constantly attired impeccably with luxury purses, lavish meals, that sort of persona. We'd faced issues regarding finances for ages. She anticipated I'd cover all bills since that's the role of partners, but I'm not overflowing with funds. I handle industrial plumbing earning solid pay, but I'm not bankrolling another's opulent habits. Established that from the outset. The core troubles emerged once her pals entered the picture. This circle of 4 women from university who all wed affluent men and pass their time purchasing items and sharing social media updates from pricey eateries. They endlessly urge Lauren to match their extravagant ways. Though her circumstances differ entirely, these companions are poisonous beyond measure. Forever proposing costly getaways to vineyard regions or casinos that run thousands each. Whenever Lauren lacks the funds, they toss sarcastic remarks about her frugal existence and how pitiful it is that she must earn her keep. I advised Lauren repeatedly that these ladies weren't genuine buddies. True pals don't coerce you into squandering cash you lack merely to blend into their group. But she yearned to preserve her societal position, regardless if it led to borrowing heavily. 3 weeks prior, Lauren's pal Emily became betrothed to a finance executive. They hosted a celebration at this posh location in the city center featuring unlimited drinks and gourmet food. The sort of event that exceeds the value of many folks' vehicles. During the gathering, I observed these ladies vying over who wore the priciest gown, the largest commitment band, the most elite holiday itineraries. It was repulsive seeing mature individuals behave like adolescents attempting to dazzle one another with inherited fortunes. Lauren felt wretched throughout the evening. She'd loaned an outfit from her flatmate and sensed inadequately styled next to her companion's high-end ensembles. Persisted with observations about how fortunate Emily was to secure a guy capable of sustaining such extravagance. That's the moment I realized our bond was faltering. She viewed me not as a companion. She was assessing my income capacity versus her pals' spouses. I wasn't an individual to her. I was a financial resource with vitality. The period following the betrothal fest, Lauren began suggesting desires for a grander band. Mine was a simple 1 carat from a neighborhood store, but evidently that lacked prestige for her network. She displayed images of Emily's 3 carat luxury mount that likely ran 50 grand. I ended that discussion promptly. Informed her we'd previously outlined our spending limits and hopes. That if she aimed to rival heirs of fortunes, she ought to have considered that prior to committing to an everyday worker. She became protective, claiming she had no intent to rival anybody. Simply desired to feel cherished on her big day as any woman might. But I'd overheard her during calls with her pals grumbling about my economical band and how ashamed she felt displaying it. 2 weeks back, Lauren notified me she was organizing a pre-wedding bash in Orlando. Not inquiring about it or reviewing the costs, just declaring that she'd begun coordinating with her companions. The expense would hover around $3,000 each for travel, accommodations, suppers, and venues. I chuckled and questioned where she believed those funds originated. She mentioned her pals were contributing equally and she hoped I'd fund her share as a commitment present. $6,000 altogether, since she planned to include her sibling as well. That's the point. I set boundaries. $6,000 for a brief escape of revelry while we were meant to accumulate savings for the ceremony. I informed her no way. And if she wished to head to Orlando, she could sort out the payment on her own. The argument that ensued was massive. Lauren charged me with being overbearing and unhelpful. Stated any guy who truly cherished his betrothed would desire her to enjoy time with her companions. That I was humiliating her by causing her to appear destitute relative to the others. I refreshed her memory that we'd conversed on economic harmony before committing. That I wouldn't ruin my finances striving to align with those possessing inherited wealth. She might select between the Orlando escape and retaining a partner because I wasn't supporting either. She rushed off and remained silent toward me for 3 days. In that interval, she lodged at her pal Sophie's residence and they schemed ways she could yet attend the Orlando escape. When she eventually returned, she declared she'd discovered an answer. Lauren's father had consented to finance the escape if she vowed to handle finances more wisely henceforth. I felt doubtful since she claimed her parents had severed support entirely, but she maintained they were open to aiding for unique events. The Orlando escape was set for the prior weekend, Thursday to Sunday at a premium hotel in the entertainment district. I wasn't excited about it, but reasoned if her father was covering, then it wasn't my concern. At minimum she'd expel it from her thoughts and we could concentrate on actual ceremony preparations. Thursday dawn, Lauren departed for the terminal with 2 large bags and a handbag packed with cosmetics and accessories. She appeared more thrilled than I'd witnessed in weeks. Kept uploading updates about pre-journey cocktails and premium seating that certainly exceeded her initial projections. The warning signs appeared right away. Thursday evening, she shared clips from supper at a spot where starters priced $60. Friday involved lounging by poolsides in rented shelters costing $500 daily. Saturday featured browsing in upscale malls with packages from shops I recognized she couldn't manage. I held my tongue because officially it wasn't my cash being depleted, but an unease lingered about the entire affair. Either her father was far more liberal than she'd implied, or she was amassing liabilities that would turn into my issue post-union. Friday evening near midnight, I received an intoxicated message from Lauren. Image of her and the group at a high-rise lounge with premium drinks. The arrangement that demands thousands for a spot. She seemed joyful, but I began fretting over the source of all this funding. Saturday followed similarly. Costly midday meals, boat charters, high-fashion acquisitions. Her online profile resembled a tycoon's daily journal. Either her parent had struck it rich or Lauren existed in an illusion bound to collapse severely. Saturday evening around 2 a.m., my device began vibrating. Several unanswered rings from Lauren trailed by progressively urgent messages. I was dozing and my device was muted, so I missed it all until dawn. Then at precisely 3:17 a.m., my device sounded. Lauren's identifier on the display and ambient sounds resembling a nightlife spot. I picked up drowsy, assuming perhaps a crisis existed. "Darling, praise heavens you responded," she shouted above the tunes. "I require you to forward funds instantly." I was fully alert. "What do you imply? What's the issue?" "My payment bounced at the venue. We've accumulated this massive charge and guards seized our documents. They're summoning authorities if we can't settle now. I need you to transfer $2,000 or we'll face detention." I rose in my bedding attempting to grasp her words. "What do you mean your payment failed? I believed your father was covering this getaway. He provided cash for lodging and transport, but we've outspent projections. My loans are exhausted and the group lacks sufficient currency to handle the charge. You must assist me." That's when it dawned. No funds from her father ever existed. She'd been supporting this whole getaway via loans. And now consequences were arriving. The elegant suppers, the purchases, the elite service, every bit was obligations she'd been building. "How large is the charge?" I inquired. $8,000, but they mentioned they'd accept 6 if we provide currency this evening. "Kindly, darling, you must aid us. Guards refuse to return our documents, and I'm terrified. $8,000 for a single evening at a venue. I couldn't fathom expending that sum on beverages. But what truly irked me was her presumption that I'd simply dispatch her thousands at 3 a.m. to resolve her chaos. "Contact your father," I stated evenly. "What?" I mentioned he already assisted with the getaway. I can't request additional funds from him. Kindly, just forward whatever you can and I'll manage the remainder. You fabricated the story about your father funding anything, right? This entire getaway relied on loans and now you're trapped with an invoice you can't cover. Quiet from her side, save for the venue tunes behind. Then she commenced weeping. Please don't treat me this way. I erred, but I require support presently. We can discuss the rest afterward. That's when I chose the path that likely preserved my economic stability. Contact your father, I echoed. If he possesses resources for your habits, then he has resources to extract you from this predicament. I'm not your cash machine. You can't mean that. I'm your betrothed. When a loved one faces hardship, you aid them. When a loved one deceives you regarding finances and accrues thousands in obligations secretly, you discover their true nature. Resolve it independently. I disconnected and deactivated my device, returned to slumber, and didn't ponder it further until daybreak. Around 9 a.m., my device began vibrating the instant I activated it. Numerous unanswered rings from Lauren, plus rings from unfamiliar digits. Recordings that I erased without hearing. Communications that grew more frantic through the night. Then around 11 a.m., I received a ring from an Orlando region code that I nearly ignored, but intuition urged me to accept it. Is this Alex Thompson on the line? This is Detective Sanchez with Orlando Area Law Enforcement. We hold your betrothed Lauren Hayes in detention and she requested we reach you. My spirit plummeted. Regardless of all, I didn't desire her to truly face arrest. What are the accusations? Fraudulent use of amenities and disruptive behavior. She and 3 other females amassed a large invoice at a nightlife spot last evening and couldn't settle. When officers came to examine, your betrothed grew aggressive and opposed when personnel attempted to detain her. I massaged my forehead striving to absorb this data. Is she all right? She's unharmed bodily. Passed the night in local detention and will be freed this morning if somebody can furnish her release fee. She demanded we contact you to organize settlement and retrieval. How much is the release? $1,000 in currency or guarantee. The venue is additionally pursuing compensation for their damages, which we gather exceeded $8,000. So, she yet owed the sum that initiated this entire chaos, plus now possessed release and court expenses atop it. Her enjoyable escape in Orlando was evolving into an economic disaster that might trail her for ages. Detective, I value your outreach, but I'm not in Orlando and won't furnish release or handle any expenses tied to this occurrence. She'll have to reach her relatives or companions for support. Extended quiet from the other side. Sir, are you certain? She was quite adamant that you'd manage the matter. I'm certain she generated this turmoil through her own selections and she can determine how to rectify it. After I ended the call, I remained seated contemplating how we'd arrived here. 9 months prior, I believed I was committed to somebody accountable and grown up. Now she was confined in an Orlando cell due to her inability to manage expenditures or confront truths about her monetary state. The subsequent hours were chaotic. Lauren's companions began ringing me, insisting I secure her freedom. Sophie yelled at me for deserting my betrothed during her crisis. Emily charged me with being domineering and psychologically harmful. Mia declared I was destroying their bond by allowing Lauren to endure. I conveyed to each the identical message. If they were such loyal companions, they could draw from their inherited funds and assist her. Ultimately, they were the ones who pushed her to embark on this escape initially. My finances weren't accountable for their flawed judgments. Around 3 p.m., I received a ring from an unidentified digit. Lauren's parent, whom I'd encountered only twice throughout our whole bond. He was contacting from the terminal en route to Orlando to address the matter. We must converse, he stated without preamble. Regarding what, Mr. Hayes? Regarding the reality that my offspring is detained because her betrothed declined to assist her during a crisis. I nearly chuckled. A crisis she produced by falsifying possession of funds for an escape she couldn't sustain. Your offspring struggles with monetary accountability, and I'm no longer facilitating it. She committed an error, but that doesn't justify forsaking her when she requires aid. What sort of individual abandons his betrothed isolated? The sort who acknowledges that repeatedly extracting somebody from their poor choices doesn't aid them in acquiring superior ones. Were you aware she claimed you were funding this escape? Quiet from his side, then an exhalation. We haven't supplied Lauren funds in over 2 years. She depleted her inheritance in 6 months and anticipated us to perpetually sustain her habits. That verified what I'd presumed. So, she deceived me about all of it. The escape, the browsing, the eateries, every part was on loans she can't repay. Likely. Listen, I'll manage the release and court costs since she's my offspring. But I believe you ought to learn that Lauren is indebted about $40,000 across multiple loans. This Orlando escape likely tacked on another $15,000 to $20,000 to that sum. My guts sank. $60,000 in loan obligations that she'd concealed from me. If we'd united, I might have been liable for upcoming expenditures, and her failure to add financially would have become my load. She'd intended to offload her monetary issues onto me without my awareness. Why are you disclosing this? Because you appear as a respectable fellow who merits understanding what he's entering. Lauren has perpetually battled with finances and repercussions. We attempted to instill accountability by severing her support, but it seems she merely uncovered alternate methods to sustain her outlays. After we disconnected, I remained seated reflecting on our complete bond. How frequently had she proposed costly eateries and assumed I'd settle? How regularly had she acquired items she asserted were discounted but likely charged to loans? What amount of obligations was she intending to introduce into our union? That night, Lauren rang from the terminal. Her father had secured her freedom and they were traveling back jointly. She was sobbing and expressing regret, stating she recognized she'd erred, but we could navigate it as a team. I allowed her to speak for roughly 5 minutes, then interrupted her. It's finished, Lauren. What do you imply it's finished? I expressed remorse. I realize I committed errors, but couples support one another during tough periods. Couples maintain truthfulness with one another. You've been dishonest about finances for weeks while building obligations that would have turned into my duty post-union. That's not an error. It's deception. You can't terminate us over this. I was frightened and hopeless. The group was all expending funds and I didn't wish to seem impoverished before them. You understand how vital their camaraderie is to me. More vital than sincerity in our bond. Evidently, more vital than monetary accountability or preparing for our tomorrow. You opted to dazzle individuals who don't truly value you over constructing something authentic with somebody who did. She implored and entreated for an additional opportunity. Vowed she'd destroy the loans and seek economic guidance. Stated she'd never deceive me again and would perform whatever necessary to regain my faith. But faith isn't an element you can merely mend with assurances once it's been demolished this thoroughly. I'm finished, Lauren. Avoid reaching me further. I restricted her contact and devoted the remainder of the night removing images and packaging items she'd abandoned at my location. The commitment was terminated, and I sensed freer than I had in weeks. The following day, Lauren appeared at my entrance with puffy lids and prior day's attire. She'd traveled directly from the terminal to attempt once more to rescue our bond. Please don't discard all we've created over one foolish getaway. I cherish you and I know you cherish me. We can navigate this if you simply offer me an opportunity. I presented her the container of her possessions. I don't cherish who you've evolved into. The individual I adored was truthful and dependable. You've been dishonest about finances while covertly intending to hold me accountable for your obligations. That's not affection. That's exploitation. All people commit errors. You're acting harsh and unfeeling. How can you discard our tomorrow over finances? I'm not discarding it over finances. I'm concluding it because you've demonstrated that you don't align with my principles. You value facades and societal rank more than truthfulness and dependability. We're not suited, and we never were. She lingered on my steps weeping and imploring for another opportunity, but I shut the entrance. Occasionally you must enact tough choices to safeguard your tomorrow, even when it stings presently. Latest developments since this escalated. Lauren's been attempting to reach me via shared acquaintances over the last week. She's evidently in debt management and aims to demonstrate she's transformed. Her companions continue bothering me online, labeling me unfeeling for forsaking her. Learned from her flatmate that she owes nearer to $70,000 overall, including the Orlando escape fees. Her father engaged an attorney to bargain the venue invoice, but she yet owes about $12,000 for that getaway solely. She relocated with her folks since she can't manage housing costs now. Forfeited her position because she reported ill for 3 days post-return from Orlando without rationale. My relatives believe I chose correctly. Her relatives are divided between resentment toward me and relief that I won't assume her monetary burdens. I'm concentrating on my own path and profession currently. Exploring purchasing a residence since I lack concern over another's obligations anymore. Evaded a huge risk and grasped to heed my gut about folks' nature. For anybody facing something akin, observe how your companion manages finances and pressure. Those characteristics don't wondrously enhance post-union. They worsen when legal safeguards exist, rendering departure more challenging. 3 months back, I believed I was organizing a ceremony. Now, I'm organizing an existence where I don't need to fret about another's flawed choices ruining me. Occasionally the harshest events that occur to you prove to be the finest that might have.